like time. Like, do you have an appropriate appreciation of time? Everyone says first watch they want is a sub. Why? Right. Reliable, beat it to shit, easy to fix. Like, all these reasons why the first thing you do is a sub, right? And then it gets more specific, and it gets more specific, and it gets more specific. To eventually, you're not really talking about a sub anymore. You think you're talking about the shell of it's a sub, but that's not really the conversation. We're talking about what's happening in that moment in time, materials being used, shortages of materials. Well, that's like, sometimes that's geopolitical. So then it's like, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger just when you're getting more and more small, which is kind of the beauty of, like, call it fine art, fine expression. Art is an expression, jewelry is an expression of art if you're buying the right type of jewelry. I've gotten caught up in fads at times where it's like, you know, you want that watch, that it watch where it's a subtle flex. You walk into a room, those that know, those that don't know, don't, and you're not really talking to them anyway. Right. Every watch I've ever owned or wanted or bought was a subtle flex. Like, I never wanted anyone looking at my wrist. I wanted the person who noticed it to notice the why. It's like, and if you don't know the why, that's fine. It's not for you. It's not for you. But it's like, I've never been, people love APs. Some people love APs. They love the size, they love this, I would say the scale. They like the scale, they see it as a bit of flash, it catches your eye, right? That's the exact opposite approach of what I do when I think of watches. I don't want the thing catching your eye because I grew up in a place where you get jacked. The moment people start recognizing what you got on your wrist, that's a good way to get jacked. So I don't think I'll ever remove myself from the person that's self-preserving. Like, I'm not gonna give someone a reason to jack me. Like, I know it's 2020, or, you know, but you know, that's the root kind of way I've always looked at watches. So if I don't feel comfortable wearing it, then that's my first notch. If I don't feel comfortable wearing the watch I have, and if I believe that it's going to draw the wrong attention, it's not for me. So naturally, I started skewing more vintage, because vintage watches don't scream, look at me. That they weren't, you know, some don't, some do, but they typically don't scream, I'm here. Because again, they were a tool. And the watches that most of us are talking about, they were designed to be tools. They were for divers, or they were for pilots. And it's like, you're talking about blue collar jobs. What someone does with a watch once you pass it on is like, that's outside of my consciousness. Just like the watch's birth was outside of my consciousness. So I often don't worry too much about that. You hope that you pick the right watch for them, and you hope that you raise them to appreciate something that's passed along to them, that they value that in and of itself. But life happens, shit happens. And so if nothing else, what you hope is that you've given them something that they can cash in on and solve whatever problem and or acquire whatever thing they need. So, you know, my son may choose he'd rather have a house, or he'd rather have money to buy canvases and oils to then paint his work. And if that's the math that he wants to make, then I've done my job, because I gave him the optionality to do that, or the means to then do that. Now I'm gone at that point, so I don't fucking care. Like, I can say, oh, me right now may care, but like me dead, fuck, I'm not here. Like, my memory is there, and he'll have to live with that, but that's not for me. And I think sometimes people put too much emphasis on legacy, like the idea of like it's a continuance of themselves. It's not. It's not. It becomes it morphs into what that person carries, or what that person believes it to be. Now here's the kicker there. If they knew you didn't give a shit about the watch, they're not going to give a shit about the watch. If they never saw your watch and they knew that it didn't really matter to you, then they're going to be okay with selling said watch. But if they knew that there was 3 watches, 2 watches, 1 watch that you cherished and you wore every damn day, they will wear that watch. They will not sell that watch because they knew what it meant. So then the onus becomes on you to actually buy things that actually matter to you, things that you're going to wear, things that are going to, you know, that someone can see that there is a relationship between you and the object. The moment you replace your object for the next new object, you're basically saying that the previous one didn't matter. don't think I've ever hit anything with my, like, for some reason, when your watch is on your hand, you don't just go, rah. Like, you're not moving that way. You're like delicately move things around. Like, even if it's a beater watch, you're still like, I'm not gonna hit that with that. Yeah, man. Although, true story, I had 5711 Patek, and I just acquired it. So it was, and I was like, I'm just gonna wear this thing. And subtle flex. I'm wearing it, I'm having a good time. And I go to leave the barber shop. And my hand slipped as I was opening the door. And the doors have the metal railings. When I say the metal railing kissed that watch so cleanly, it kissed the part of the it's effectively the bezel, but it's a metal. They changed the way that they polished this one portion that outlines the face of the watch. It kissed it right on the part that's the high polish, and I remember looking at it like, motherfucker, and I was livid, and I was thinking like, and I kept thinking to myself, that is the most expensive fucking haircut I've ever got, anyone is ever gonna get in the history of haircuts, because it's like, and then you're doing the math like, should I have this fixed? But if I fix it, then I'm like, essentially like, I am polishing this watch, and it's like, and this is like a gift. It's like, and as all this shit was going through my head, and I kept thinking to myself, fucking idiot, of all the watches. And then that's when I had an epiphany. That was the moment I had that first real epiphany. Now, because of the number I bought it at, I didn't feel bad. But I look at it now where that feeling is a feeling I'm not comfortable with. If I can't live with the watch and make a mistake, and if I then hate myself for the mistake, or I'm start thinking about the cost to fix the said mistake, I don't want the watch. When I bought this watch, this is a 2003 116520 Pana, right? When I bought that watch, there were two, and the price may have been the same. One was white, pure white, and one was Pana. And I remember everybody in this was like, you should just get the white one. Like I was, and obviously at that point, the debate of like people were liking Zeniths, so everybody was like, all of a sudden, you used to be able to get a Zenith for nothing. And all of a sudden, the Zenith was like, and everybody was like, Patrizi. And it's like they were yelling that shit out at the top of the mountain. And I was like, the Pana's interesting, mostly because I think against my skin tone, it falls away a little bit. The white pops. And so I don't really want my watch to pop, ever, really. I kind of want it to fall against my skin, fall away underneath my, my shirt or my sweater. And so I wasn't really feeling it like that. So I picked the Pana. And what happened over time is that watch became the one that people liked more. Because, again, people started liking patina watches more. And so they started reacting a little bit more to the creaming. I don't even know if that's the right word, like the change. But so that was that one. And, I think I was like, everybody's like, I didn't have a Daytona in my collection at the time. That was the first one. Now there's a lot more, but that was the first one. This is a Gilt 5513 1964. I think what's interesting was that once I made a decision to kind of like hone in a collection, then it was like, how do I find the best examples of the better references? So, or the references that are recognizable, but at the same time, again, if you don't know what you're looking at, the novice eye, they couldn't tell the difference between a 14060 to a 5513 to a 5512, 1680. They don't know the difference. And I think most people can oversimplify it and say, does it have a Cyclops eye or does it not have a Cyclops eye? Some people will give more, is it a matte dowel versus a good dowel? Like they'll indexes, like what metals around the index. It gets more and more specific. But I think that like for me, I became aware that certain watches, again, would I want to wear it? Do I feel comfortable wearing it? And does the only person I would want to ever acknowledge it is the person who understood what it was? And so if that means the bucket gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, so be it. That's perfect for me. That's exactly who who I would want to have a watch conversation with. So it's like, and then it's not just a watch conversation, a conversation about life. It's a conversation about a number of other things.
Stories.
It's a conversation starter, and it's amazing when people start talking about watches. They are truly interesting people more times than not, because the devil is in the details, and if they can recognize what you're wearing, that means that they've taken the time to explore that detail. So again, that watch kind of speaks when it's a beautiful example of that reference. The 1680 Pumpkin, this is a 77. I think visually, maybe the prettiest watch I have. One of the prettiest watches I have. When you wear it again against my skin, but also just like it falls away, but still allows you to see what time it is perfectly. Because of how vibrant the markers are on this watch, you can clock time really quickly.
Yeah.
It's very clear what time it is when you have it on. It's a bit of a subtle flex. You wouldn't know unless you knew. You'd be like, oh, that's a really pretty watch. But it takes a person to understand just how even the patinaing on this watch is, even from marker to hands, in a way that I don't think I've ever seen. Not that consistent. Not without somebody manipulating it. And then so for this to be found as is, unpolished in the wild, fuck it, man, that's rare. And it's worth, but also I think that when you see a watch like this isn't a watch you put away. You don't put it away and never wear it. No, you wear the watch. It's been worn since '77, obviously. So the only way you keep doing respect to the watch is keep wearing it. Keep wearing it. Like, it's gonna get more beautiful. It's gonna be more me, with time. Or it may become a piece of me with time. I don't know if it's gonna be more me because it had a life long before I was around. But you hope for that. I mean, birth year. Everybody loves a birth year. And this is again 5513, 84. This has the gloss dial with some unique sunbursting around the markers. As much as everybody says fuck a birth year, I actually don't agree with that. I know I've heard you say that, and I don't agree with you. I think you want to be able to track your age away from yourself, and so it becomes symbolic of how things can age. And so you kind of, and it's also like one of those things that kind of puts time again back into perspective. That like, damn, that thing has remained intact for as long as I've been on the earth, and it's in much better shape than I am. Like, I've been dinged up, like I've been beat to shit. This watch is still looking really, really nice. Nah, I'm joking, but it's I don't know. It's a unique. It's a reminder of time that's unique to you, and I think that's why people kind of. I don't know a watch collector that doesn't have a birth year, or hasn't had one at some point. Whether or not you'll sell your birth year, I mean, if you're a real collector, at some point you're gonna sell your birth year. Maybe not, but more times than not, you did.
I did.
I know you did. I bet you did too. Both of you guys are traders. But no, this is actually the only birth year watch I've ever picked up. I've never picked up a birth year watch before. So the last one is a 1680 red sub, 71. It's just something about the red. That red Submariner. I wonder if when they made the watch, did people realize what it was, like that it was going to mean something? I don't think they did, because it's like right now when you see like the red Sea Dweller on the contemporary ones, like you can pick one of those up relatively cheaply, and you're like, it says Sea Dweller, but then it doesn't really mean as much because you're aware that there was something that was done really, really well previously. And that marker became the signifier for why it was special, right? And you just weren't aware of what Rolex was aware of. So it's like, it's only through the passage of time do you essentially realize intentionality. There was an intention behind it, and this is why it becomes more special later. It's like the MK3 maxi dial on 5513. Like, you're like, why is that? Why did they make it look like a lollipop? Like, that looks really, really uniquely beautiful if you know what you're looking at. Or when you say the exclamation, it's like, oh yeah, it's there. You can see it.
To this day, there's no other red sub that was made since 76. Yeah.
Which is why I think why people like the Hulk. They're like, oh, it's green. Like this, they clearly are saying something like, or the Kermit, it's green. It's like, yeah, clearly they know what they're saying. The question is, do you have the patience for it, right? When it's all said and done, a lot of people buy vintage because they don't mean to be patient. And if that's the game, then I say get into modern. If you're not going to be patient, get into modern watches. If you want to kind of do the time, then hold on to it until you have the vintage watch. I stumbled onto a watch. It wasn't a hunt. I don't even know if I ever even knew what an Ultraman was. 145 spot 01267. 67. Yeah. It was made limited run between June 67 through, I'm gonna say it's a 4-month run. Man. I'm not even gonna claim I even knew what it was. Someone hit me to what it was, but because of where it originated, it wasn't at the time verifiable. So the verifying it took a bit of work. I said the reference, I didn't say what it was. So Omega Ultraman, pre-moon watch, famous for being the watch that won the NASA contract. And so anybody who loves the moon loves that watch, right? But really it's the movement that I find to be particularly interesting. The 321 movement it's a beautiful movement. And the bracelet on that watch is like has like a really unique stretch. And that's kind of a cool gimmick too. It's everything about it has a bit of like, and it's substantial in its size, but it doesn't move around the wrists the way that like when your case outweighs the bracelet. Like I would say with some of like the folded Rolex bracelets are a little bit more light, where this one didn't have that. So with a 42 millimeter case, you would think that the watch wasn't proportioned, but it actually is, and it sits really well on the wrist. I didn't realize what it was until I realized what it was, and even then it was like, is it? And then you realize it is, and that was a cool feeling where it's like, oh shit, there's 22 of these known. That's the dial on the original has a beautiful step dial, and the indexes have turned this beautiful patinaed evenly. So the markers have all patinaed this very beautiful cream, and it's showing a little bit more oranging around the edges of every one of the markers. And then you have that with that long chronograph orange hand, and you realize that like it may be the most beautiful watch they ever made. It's beautiful with that one point of inflection, which is the orange long chronograph hand. And there's something special about that when you see it, and then you look at it against that dial against the mat. It really does pop. And I forget what material they use on the Omega, on the actual Omega symbol, but it's like this reflective metal that in some light it falls away completely and you don't realize it's there, and then in other light you see it pop up, and it's like a bunch of subtle, really subtle decisions that make the watch. I always say, does it fall away in the room, or does it become where your eye lands in the room, right? And that's like a rule I use with furniture. If its scale is disproportionate to the room, your eye lands on the piece of furniture. And unless it's special, you don't want someone's eye landing on any furniture in any room. And that's the way I look at that watch. Like, unless it doesn't force your eyes to ever land on it, but when it does, it delivers beyond the expectation, beyond what you would have thought. So it's a beautiful watch. It's yeah, man. That's one of those ones where you're just like, fuck. Okay, I'm lucky. I got lucky.
Just breathe.